Hello everyone. Welcome to this WebEx on overcoming the fear, uncertainty, and doubt while choosing an offshore QA and testing provider. While outsourcing is not a new practice in the industry, why should we pay attention to this topic right now? The simple answer is the growing demand for outsourcing. In the past few years, we have observed a phenomenal interest and need expressed by various organizations globally to outsource QA. This WebEx aims at addressing these needs in detail. In terms of the topics for today, I shall start with sharing some of the most common views expressed on outsourcing in the slide for outsourcing views. Then I shall go on to share some thoughts on why outsource and approach towards outsourcing. When you decide to outsource testing, you will find vendors who offer testing as the only service and a few who offer testing as a part of other services. I shall explain today the advantages and disadvantages of both these vendors in the slide for strengths and weakness of testing providers. I shall also be covering the driving factors to choose the right country for outsourcing, followed by the market trends and return on investment on technology. Finally, I shall conclude with a brief summary of what we have covered for today. Outsourcing views. Let us take a look at some of the views expressed by various personnel about outsourcing. Some feel that in-house provides a better control and visibility on the work performed. Outsourcing may not give the same comfort. Some enterprises perceive that outsourcing is a challenge when it comes to maintaining the coordination and synchronization of global rollouts. Financial enterprises consider outsourcing QA to be challenging due to the domain and business knowledge embedded in their systems. Some treat outsourcing as a risk-reward program. Higher the risks, better are the returns. In other words, the more you can outsource, the better are your margins. People who have outsourced QA understand it to be a common practice and no-brainer. So, the question remains, what has changed of late? In all these views, the common message that comes across is outsourcing is a must. But how does one succeed and move on? That question remains. So let us understand how we do this in the next few slides. Why outsource testing? I shall explain in this slide the most prominent reasons on why someone does outsourcing. Positively influence the bottom line. Optimize and gain efficiencies. Improve time to market. Lack of professional testing expertise in an ideal situation to outsource instead of building expertise. Lack of professional testing expertise is the most ideal situation when someone decides to outsource, because if you need to build this in-house, it would take significant time and as well as investment. Professional testing also helps in improving the quality of product, which results in better customer satisfaction. Well, testing by principle is an independent activity in the SDLC, and it's a well-defined activity with its own scope and boundaries. So, if someone wishes to have experience with outsourcing, testing should be the prime candidate. Having understood this, now let us see what should be the approach towards outsourcing QA. Well, the approach is always recommended to be slow and to do it in multifold fashion. Before you outsource, it is better to have a buy-in from all the stakeholders of different business units who contribute to the success of this event. So, the overall approach for outsourcing QA can be broadly categorized into four phases or steps: the beginner, the intermediate, the advanced, and the sophisticated. As a beginner, start outsourcing with staff augmentation. Establish the basic principles for QA. Measure your performance and learn from mistakes. An intermediate model is a way where you outsource with teams on-site and offshore. You can improve QA practices and develop basic governance models on how you wish to manage this engagement. Advanced model suggests to outsource projects with low to high risk business impact. It is always better to experiment outsourcing the projects of low business risk, and once you gain comfort in outsourcing, move towards the path of high business risk. This approach reduces the risk of outsourcing and also minimizes the impact on business. Now, sophisticated models. A sophisticated model is used by people who have experience with outsourcing or who have dealt outsourcing in the past. Some of the industry adopted models are BOT, Build, Operate and Transfer, Global Program Rollouts, and multi-sourcing. Having understood all these models, now you can determine what best suits your organization needs and then take one of these approaches and proceed accordingly. Here comes a question actually from one of our audiences. Let me read out the question. The approach described looks like a step-by-step program. If I am new to outsourcing, should I graduate from beginner to sophisticated? That's a good question actually. Let me answer. The answer is no. We at App Labs have seen most of the companies engaging either at intermediate or advanced stage even when they don't have outsourcing experience or when they are doing outsourcing for the first time. The idea of presenting these models is just to give an understanding to you on how you can outsource, and definitely these are not the steps or path for outsourcing. So decide on what are your organization needs and you outsource accordingly. In the interest of everyone and to have a continuity in this presentation, I would wish to defer the Q&A to the end of this session. So please feel free to drop your questions in the chat window and we will pick them up in the last. Let's move on. Outsourcing, what to look for. I tried to categorize the